All right. Mine is also a bit of a softball to start here. If you could recruit any fictional baseball player, movies, TVs, books, etc., who are you signing and why?
Oh man, that's kind of a tough one actually.
That's a good
Um,
question.
yeah. I've always been pretty partial to Sandlot, to believe it or not.
I was going to say Benny the Jet is who you were going
Yeah.
after. Yep.
And
Word is they don't see what it take to make it, but the word on the street side make it look easy. I'm flattering, cool, way too easy. Word on the street is I make it look easy. I'm actually smooth, it's far too easy. Word on the street side make it look easy.
Welcome, one and all, to season 2, episode 3 of the Diggles Diamonds podcast. Very excited about today's episode. A little disappointed in our listeners for not submitting questions for this gentleman. Seems like everybody wants to know, like, hey, how do I get recruited these days? And then nobody asks the questions when we have the guy to answer the questions. So now you get the questions that Mr. Bentley and I asked. And
And
so,
we have one from a
we do have
certain
one.
Morton assistant coach.
Indeed.
We'll keep names anonymous, but yeah.
Well, there's one name we're not going to keep anonymous when we get to that segment.
Chris Kringle?
Nope. So, we are joined today by, of course, David Bentley, my life partner in crime, as well
Season's
as
greetings to all. And we're go ahead, Diggle.
if you
I'm gonna
guys are
stop
going to make
cutting
this
you
like
off.
about Christmas, we're not even through Thanksgiving yet. All right, come on.
There's gonna be Christmas jokes throughout because we are joined by the human advent calendar of Twitter.
I love that nickname. I'm gonna hold that to that.
He, uh, he is, of course, referring to the man famous for many things. Uh, bad choices in T-shirts in high school. Um, uh, wonderful taste in wife, I guess, and uh, an all-state ball player and all Missouri Valley Conference pick. We were talking about none other than Northern Illinois recruiting coordinator Joe Kelch. Welcome, Mr. Kelch, to the program.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have Joe on because I have known Joe since he was something like 11 years old. How old are you now?
I'm 33.
That's unfucking acceptable. That's good Lord, 22 years. That's insane. But yeah, Joe, I've known forever, played for me with the Outlaws. Have worked with his dad for almost just as long now, on summer ball and at ICC and all kinds of stuff. So thrilled to see one, how far Joe has gone in coaching. I know how hard he worked to get here. And number two, just glad that we can have him on the pod and talk some baseball. So welcome, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Um, God, there's so many stories I want to tell, and I mean, I almost got you killed once. Once saw you
Yep.
tag up from second base on an infield fly and make it to third. Like, there's just a lot we could tell. So,
Yes, there is. Some don't need to be said.
no, they don't. They never do. But that's all. We'll just, you know, that's we can keep those things there. Um, there will be no endorsement of Long's Bakery, however.
That's more Pops than me.
Yeah, yeah.
That's more him.
Sure. All right. Well, anyway, we came up with some questions for Mr. Kelch. Obviously, it's not every day we get a Division One assistant on here, especially one as plugged in and connected as Joe is. Joe has worked at SIU Edwardsville, Bradley University, um, NIU at the D1 level, and then the University of Illinois at Springfield at the D2 level. Um, were you at the alma mater for a bit? Did you spend a year there as a
Nope.
volley? Just
Nope.
went straight to
Nope.
Bradley?
Straight to SIUE first.
Oh, that's right. SIUE, and then you came home. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. So, at any rate, Mr. Bentley, I will let you go first here, man.
I got an easy one. We're gonna start with a little softball toss because I've listened to first of all, I listened to you at the Barnstorm Clinic at NIU last October.
Shout out Ryan
Um,
Brownlee.
Mr. Brownlee sponsored. And so I already know the answer to my question, but you might have a little more tidbit. And for the listeners out there, they probably haven't. Being a hitting guru, the question is, what is the repeated motto that you use for your players? And I think I know the answer because I've heard it before, but I think each hitting coach or hitting guru, they have one or two that they go to. So what is your go-to most frequently used that your players would vote on a game show if they had to guess what you told them so many times over and over?
I have a couple I would say that they probably get tired of hearing me say. Um, the first one really is I tell all of our guys, go sooner and slower. We're going to start sooner, we're going to go slower. And the second one is controlling our body. I think the easy answer for a lot of people is, hey, we talk about timing, and we talk about timing a lot. But I think for us, they get tired of hearing me say, you need to start sooner and go slower and control your body. I think for us, our big thing is we're going to be on time for middle in fastballs. That's something that we always preach. That's where we're going to do the most damage to. And if we do a good job with that, then we're going to be able to do a good job of controlling our bodies. Then we can hit anything else that's thrown at us. So those things right there, sooner and slower, and control our bodies. I know that they get sick of hearing me say day in and day out.
When you say slower, I think I know what you mean, but for the listeners, you don't mean like go slow motion. I'm assuming I take that as you mean don't rush it. Start your load sooner so that you can be on time. And that way you don't have to say, oh shit, I got to hurry.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep. So I mean, we spend a lot of time watching video, and I think if you watch Major League Baseball, or if you just watch the postseason, you have all those hitters that go up there and they're facing 97 to 100 pretty much day in and day out now, and those guys are starting their load super early. And so that's something that's you're exactly right. We want to talk about starting our loads early, so that way we can be on time for anything that they're throwing at us, and then everything is just kind of slowed down. You're not rushed. You're not in that oh shit mode. You're just ready to go at anything that they throw at you. You're ready for it, and on time as often as we can be.
What?
I think,
Go
ahead.
You mind if I jump in here, DB?
Yeah, do it.
Joe, just for the listeners, you're talking about the MLB guys seeing velocity 97 to 100. Give us a kind of what are your hitters facing on a non-conference weekend, on a conference weekend? What are they seeing?
Yeah, so I mean, we're seeing on a consistent basis on the weekend, we are seeing low 90s, upper 80s to low 90s on a consistent basis on about everybody that we see. And anything out of the bullpen is going to be in the low 90s for the most part, unless they're a specialty guy. If you're a specialty slider guy or something like that, it may be in the upper 80s. On the left-hand side, it might be a tick under that, and mostly living in the upper 80s on the left-handed side, touching a 90 every now and again. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing on a weekend, midweek basis, pretty much everybody we see is going to be in the low 90s for the most part.
Very cool.
You're up, Diggs. Question 2.
All right. Mine is also a bit of a softball to start here. If you could recruit any fictional baseball player, movies, TVs, books, etc., who are you signing and why?
Oh man, that's kind of a tough one, actually.
That's a good question.
Yeah. I've always been pretty partial to Sandlot, to believe it or not.
I was going to say Benny the Jet is who you're going after. Yep.
And I've been more into it now because both my kids have started finding it on Disney Plus.
Nice.
So we've started watching it, and I when I was growing up, I always wanted to kind of emulate Benny the Jet, and I'm hoping that my kids want to do the same thing. And I think now that you watch it when you're an adult, you kind of realize, Benny's always the one that wants to keep playing and not do all the other stuff that all the other kids want to do.
Yeah, not go to the pool, not have the
exactly.
sleepover and make s'mores.
Right. Yep. So
And
I would sign Benny the Jet. That would be my pick.
I feel like Benny went JUCO. Like he wasn't focused on grades. He he,
No,
he didn't
that's
have
probably
like a
your.
3.9.
No, he
He
was
was
skipping class and going out to going
Look,
out to
let's be
yeah.
dinner.
honest. That mustache at the end of the movie that screams JUCO bandit. Okay, that
That's
mustache when he
true.
steals home. That Benny was a JUCO bandit. That's all
Yep.
we
He
need to know.
was he was living right in that meaty part of the curve, 2.4 to 3.1. Yep. He got there though. He
He
eventually
did.
got there and stole
Yeah.
home in his final season.
I got to tell you, there's one thing about that movie that drives me nuts. I hate that they make whatever it is, the new kid, the
Smalls.
Smalls,
Malls.
yeah. Uh I hate that they make him wear that fishing cap. Like I hate a baseball cap with that extra long bill. Oh, hate it. I hate that he's wearing it later in the film.
I
But
read that he was the best athlete of the group and had to pretend he was bad.
Really?
And so it was like a reverse of reality. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
interesting.
That's
Little
crazy.
tidbit for you,
Yeah,
folks.
like
Nice.
that.
Dynamite drop in, Monty. All right.
Oh,
Mr.
am I
Bentley,
up?
just out of curiosity, Mr. Bentley, who are you taking?
You know what? I'm going under the radar because of the raw talent and intellect of Archibald Moonlight Graham from Field of Dreams. He wasn't big. He had a lot
Holy
of heart,
kid.
and he was obviously smart enough to become a doctor. I feel like I could have worked with him and got something out of him.
Interesting.
It would have been a
Interesting.
project. It would have been a project, but you got to admire. Look, he needed that fly ball to right field to get the runner in there as a youngster. He took the low and outside pitch to right, and I was always impressed by that.
Nice. Nice.
What about you, Diggs?
Am I allowed to
Yeah,
take Teen Wolf?
yeah. What was he in the second one? A boxer?
Boxer. Basketball player and a boxer. Oh man. I,
And he was Jason Bateman.
yeah.
Jay
Which
Fox was like, I'm in Back to the Future now, boys. I'm out on the
yeah,
sequel.
I did not realize those came out so close apart, like 3 months apart.
The second one was pretty bad,
Yeah,
but
it was real bad.
but I own it, so
Yeah.
it is what it is.
All right, Mr. Bentley, you're up.
All right, question 2. They're going to get slowly harder as we continue.
Okay.
So I will preface the question with the answer can't be anything obvious. And the question's going to be challenges you faced with the new 34-man max roster for D1s. And obviously the answer is I can't get all the guys I want. But what have been some things that you didn't really expect that have just annoyed you about it? And it's kind of a tough question, but I guarantee a person in your position, there's got to be some things that have popped up like, this is really just ruining my plan here, my strategy.
Um, I would say more than anything that plays into it is all of the outside stuff with the NIL. Um, because I think in a world where a lot of the NIL stuff is mainly in football and basketball, so all of the recruits think that NIL is a thing that everybody gets. So that's I would say that's kind of annoying to a certain extent. I would say the other thing is when they cut the roster to 34. I remember being at the Future Games 2 years ago when that all came out, and we were all kind of sitting there wondering who was going to be able to get X amount of roster spots, but only have 34 come the spring. There was really no rules to it at the time, and so there's a lot of speculation as to what was going on, and now they came out with the designated student athlete thing,
Yeah.
which is one of those another kind of weird situation that throws a lot of wrenches into things.
Does the
Um,
DSA tag not go away?
no, it's still around.
I was under the impression that was just like a one-time, like, hey,
You have
these
to
kids
put
went
guys
through.
on you got to put them on a DSA, and my understanding of it is that they could, if they transferred, that would give them a free reign to transfer. And then if the whoever they went to would have to put them on their roster as a as a non-DSA.
So it's like the Rule 5 draft,
Kind of, yeah.
basically.
That was my understanding of it. But
Interesting.
there's just a lot of, I would say, gray area stuff out there that I think became very confusing to a lot of people. And so you're kind of just you're out there recruiting, and um, you don't know what the rule's going to be tomorrow. It
Yeah.
could change tomorrow. I think that's the most annoying part is you're working under a guideline of rules, and then you get hit with something else in a week. And every school is different. I mean, there's some schools right now that have 45 guys in the fall, and they have their DSAs, and I think that's it is what it is, but that's just kind of a another weird thing that gets thrown out there as well.
It's almost like continuing education where you guys have to hit refresh every morning when you
Yes.
wake up to make sure that you understand the rules, because they may have changed and been adjudicated in some federal court in Alaska, and
Yep.
it's trickling down to you, and you got to
Yep.
stay on the cutting edge because your recruits need to know, you need to know,
Yeah.
and it's a mess.
100%. 100%. We have compliance meetings every month with just our staff and our compliance, and there's something different in there every month. For the most part, that something has changed, something is a proposal to change, that just kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to do. And really, all this started when COVID happened, because when COVID happened, then there was the unlimited roster. Then the next time it was 50. Then it just kept going in different things. So every year, I think since COVID, really, it's been something different.
Yeah. Go ahead, Diggs.
Uh, just Joe, to go back to the NIL for just a second, and this is one of those weird circumstances. I don't even know what I was reading today, but I was reading, and for those of you not familiar, for our listeners who are not familiar, uh, Northern Illinois has made a jump from the MAC in football to the Mountain West Conference.
Correct. Yep.
And did I see you guys are also going to the Horizon League
That is correct. Yeah.
for
Every other
baseball?
sport, all other sports are going to the Horizon League,
Okay.
except for I think wrestling and gymnastics, because the Horizon League does not sponsor those.
Okay.
So they found other homes for those two. But yeah, every other sport is going to the Horizon League starting
Gotcha.
next year. Yeah.
Okay. I just had I don't know what it was, something with, I think it was your AD, like an interview with your AD maybe.
Yeah.
But I think I saw between your basketball and football, like football to get into the Mountain West had to guarantee they were going to spend at least 1.3 million in NIL.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. Yeah.
And Hoops got like 400 grand plus to
Yeah, for
remake
this
its
year's
roster
team.
this year.
I
Yeah.
believe this year's basketball team is all 100% new players. They didn't
Yeah.
return
They
one player from
16 new
last year.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Now does any of that trickle down to you guys? Did you get any taste of
yeah,
the?
so I think every school's different. I mean, we're going
Yeah.
to be able, I think, to offer a little bit of NIL money. Now, we're not in the same ballpark as some other places, but I think just for us, I think we're pretty fortunate to be able to at least have some to at least put us on the discussion table with maybe some big time guys that we want to try to bring in. So at least we have a little bit to be able to offer. So it's definitely better than none.
Yeah.
But obviously, we would all love to have more, right? But
Yeah.
we'll take whatever we can get.
And now is it my understanding that with all these new rules about revenue share and all that, kids are no longer signing letters of intent. They're basically signing contracts, right?
Yeah, they're signing what they're called. They're not NLIs anymore. They're called
Yeah.
academic financial agreements, I believe,
Okay.
AFAs. So basically, or athletic financial agreements. Basically, it's just they're signing a contract that's not a national letter of intent. They're just it's similar. It's just called something different.
Yeah.
Called something different now. Yeah.
But that bakes in the NIL portion of it.
Correct.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Mr. Bentley, am I up?
Yeah, but I got sort of a peripheral
Hit
question,
me.
and it's just based on my ignorance. So you guys are going from the MAC to Horizon in baseball, correct?
Yes.
Is that a sideways move? I mean, I know Wright State, and Northern Kentucky are solid, but I'm trying to think of all the schools in my head here. Is that kind of a lateral move for you guys, you
Yeah, I
think?
think in baseball it's pretty lateral, I would say, pretty similar to
Okay.
what we have in the MAC. There's not as many schools in the Horizon League
Yeah, there's
as there
only
are in the MAC.
six.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and really in baseball now there's five because IPFW just got rid of their program.
Oh man.
So we'll be six. I
Okay.
have heard through the rumor mill that there are some other schools I think that are expected to possibly join the Horizon League here in the
Okay.
next few years. So I think it's going to expand.
Okay. Well, hopefully you guys get another, well, for your record, I hope it's not a big banger, but I think, having a talented conference is always good for everybody. So,
Yeah, for sure.
I think you're up, Diggs, although I'm starting to forget who went when.
I think you're
Uh,
right.
Go ahead.
Let's see here.
I got two more in the bag.
What's that?
I got two more questions in the bag, so
Works for me.
fire away.
Joey, what separates a recruit you want from a recruit you're willing to bet on? Like, is it obviously you see kids with tools all the time, but what makes you separate that kid out to a, hey, I will, I'm betting this kid is going to be, a Friday night guy or a 3-4 hitter, or he's going to be the kind of kid that we rally around. What separates it for you?
Um, I hate to say it, but a lot of it for me coming from me because I'm 5'6", but it is size. I mean, if a big separator for me is a guy that is has some size to him and some build. I would say more build than size. I would say just somebody that's strong, that's been in the weight room that you can tell that like I can go grab that guy and I feel like he can going to be able to come in and compete right away. Um, but I also feel like there's a lot of upside to the kid that's not big, that has some talent that you feel like can, especially on the mound, that you feel like, hey, this kid hasn't even touched a weight room. I can go get that kid. Or especially on the mound for us, it's guys that haven't done anything in terms of programming whatsoever. And they're going out there not having any idea what they're doing, and they're pumping upper eights with the breaking ball. Then like, okay, hey, this kid has done no programming. He has no off-season program at all. Let's get him and see if we can get him and then get him on a program and see he could possibly explode.
Yeah.
Guys
There's a
like
lot to
that,
dream on when the kid is 6'4", 165.
correct. Yeah, I think that's a big thing. I think the other part of the question, like, there's a lot of times where I would go out, I go out and see kids um, that I want to take just based on how he plays the game. He may not be the most talented player, um, but he's always, he's hitting one or two or three. He's doing everything right. It seems like he's on the barrel all the time. And it's like, man, he's probably a little bit short for us, but he does everything right. And those are the guys almost you have to go watch a lot, and then you end up one or the other. You either talk yourself into it or talk yourself out of it sometimes,
And then you
based
call
on
your dad and say, hey, got somebody you need to stash.
yeah, right. Just somebody that you can that we go watch multiple times is obviously somebody that we're really on the fence with. And I find myself when I do that, it's like those types of guys that you wish maybe they had one more tool to make it a no doubter for you. But you just keep going back and going back and going back, hoping they do something to wow you. Um, to
You were
go and
that kind of guy.
yeah, for sure. I mean,
Like,
I was
like I
definitely
can remember that, Durkat came over and watched you work out. You know, Billy had seen you, and then, you went off in that tournament at Wesleyan, and
yeah.
Kingston was about broke a leg trying to get down to field level to offer
Yeah,
you after
yeah,
you.
I mean, I was 5'6" and I could run, and luckily we had the old school bats at the time still, so I had a little bit the bats were supplying a little bit more power than what they do or what they did back then. So that obviously helped my case as well. But yeah, yeah, I mean, it's the same type of thing. I mean, I don't think baseball recruiting gets as much different as it has been. It's just different rules that we live by and a different landscape of the NCAA that we're in right now.
Joe, when you're on the fence about a guy and you are looking for maybe a extra tool you didn't see at first, can that extra tool be character? Can you I was at the state games in Rantoul, and I like to just hang around the dugout and listen to how the kids interact, banter, and leadership, being likable in a
Yes.
dug. I mean, these are some sort of unheralded characteristics, but is that something you really try to find out when you're looking at a kid, and it's not like a no-brainer?
100%. I think the likable part that you said is a very much underrated um, attribute that people look at. Because I think when you bring them into campus, especially as a new player, if they are likable and they fit in so much better, guys are going to rally around them, and guys are going to want to work with them. Guys are going to want to stay after and do other things with them. So that's definitely one that we look at. I think this year, our team that we brought in this summer for this year's team was something that we really that was something that we really looked at. We looked at bringing guys in that were tough and guys that were likable, that were in the portal or in JUCO, that we brought in that have really meshed really well in our fall chemistry this year. Compared to years past, has been our team this year has been a lot better, and I think that's a big reason why. Some of the guys we brought in are leaders, and they're so likable. They didn't come in and just start bossing everything around. They came in and earned the respect from the guys that have been here, and have really kind of taken off in that sense.
Am I up, Diggs?
You're up. Fire away, brother.
As far as recruiting geography, just I glanced at some of your class that you've got committed. Caleb Cox, Springfield, Central Illinois. You got Newman and Deloach, sort of northern suburb Chicago guys. You got Elijah Gamage, I hope I didn't mispronounce that, out of Brookfield, western suburb of Milwaukee. So that's kind of, in your range if you look at a map. But then I look at your roster and you got guys from Indiana, Oklahoma, Minnesota, obviously Iowa, Missouri, Colorado. Do you kind of have a target area, as in, okay, well, DeKalb is here, so let's put a circle and add, 100 miles each way radius on top of your Central Illinois connections? You used to coach Southern Illinois and Central Illinois. Is that where you're living at? And are you looking on top of that coach transfers for more, or is it just happened to be, the last couple recruiting classes? That's where you guys have been living.
I would say when we got up here to DeKalb, we wanted to make a very conscious effort to work from Chicago out. There's so much talent in Chicago that it makes so much sense to work from Chicago and go outward from there. Obviously, being from Peoria, the Central Illinois connection, I'm always going to be partial to that as well. So I'm always going to want to um, be down here in the Central Illinois area to recruit that area. And then my St. Louis connection, working down there at Edwardsville, has got us a couple guys up here, especially our first couple years, getting some guys from down there. So we're always going to work from Chicago out. JUCO and portal stuff kind of just that's where things kind of get crazy. Is typically we'll start JUCO stuff in the area as well, in Illinois for sure, Wisconsin, Indiana a little bit. And then it starts to kind of go from, we've got a couple kids from Nyack who just happen to be from Minnesota. So we got a couple of those guys. One of our guys, or two of our guys that we brought in are from areas where we don't, I would say, normally get into as much. Oklahoma being one, and he's actually from Texas. He grew up in Texas, so getting down there and getting a guy from there is nice. And then Colorado's another one. Colorado's a state that I would think gets very under recruited, with there not being Northern Colorado. I think the only Division I school there, so they get under recruited a lot. Um, So I think we've made a little bit of an effort to try to tap into them a little bit more than what we have in the past. So yeah, I think I think we're always going to try to start here in Illinois, especially in the Chicago area. I would say especially on the high school side, and then we've had a lot of luck in Wisconsin as well. I think that's another one that we really hit home a lot of, especially in the high school recruiting.
Sticking with that high school recruiting for just a second. Um, what high school base what do high school baseball players and their parents misunderstand about the recruiting process today?
Ooh, that's a good question.
We talked a little bit about the NIL already. I think everybody thinks
Yeah,
they're
I
getting
mean,
NIL money.
yeah, I think a little bit of that. I think a lot of it too is, when we go out and recruit, we may not need a right fielder, a center fielder. We may have six outfielders that are on the roster that we don't need. We don't need
Yeah.
another high school outfielder in the class, right? It's all about our needs. I think sometimes parents, I would say, don't understand the recruiting process in that sense. They don't understand that we have 34 roster spots and that in today's day and age of college athletics, being a high school baseball recruit is the hardest one is the hardest it's ever been. In order for us to be able to compete at this level, you start going down and looking at rosters, you're going to find it very hard pressed to find more than, 6 or 7 high school kids right there on the roster that started at that school. So you're really starting to, you're going to have to get in the JUCO and portal ranks. So I think it's really hard for those parents and kids to understand that on 10 years ago, Johnny would be committed to wherever it would be. And now he's uncommitted and nobody can figure out why. And that's why is if I can go out and get a JUCO guy who's done it for 2 years, or a portal guy who's had success and at the college level, and I can go out and get that guy, I'm going to go get that guy rather than an unproven high school kid. Um, and that's the unfortunate, I would say, situation that we're in, that we've been put in by the NIL stuff, by the transfer portal and things like that. When we first got the job here, we want to do the same thing we did at UIS. We wanted to start bring in our high school classes, let them develop for a year, and then they're ready to be the next guy up when it was time to come. And now it's just getting harder and harder to do that. But I mean, that's just one of the things I would say that's really hard for them to understand. I think until they go on visits, until they really understand how college baseball works, they don't really ever have a true understanding of it until they go on a couple of visits and find out, okay, this is all, there's a lot of similarities in this school here and that school there. They start to figure out a little bit, things a little bit differently. Academic money, athletic money, NIL money, where some of that stuff is coming from. I think there's just a lot of things that go unnoticed, unanswered, and just really not thought of until they kind of get there and kind of see everything.
With with the portal and really with junior college as well, if you're a kid who has aspirations to play at that Division I level, and let's be honest, most of these kids do,
Right.
is it best to start at the JUCO level? Is it, I think I say that because I get the sense, and this is purely anecdotal, I have no evidence to back this up, but I feel like a lot of kids are committing, especially to D3s, thinking, I'm going to treat it like JUCO. Like, I'm going to go here, I'm going to play, tear it up, and then, jump in the portal and go somewhere. And if that's the way they do it, great. But is there, like, what's your average portal resume look like for you?
It's kind of I would say a mixed bag. We have a Division II All-American on the roster from Central Oklahoma who hit 20, I think 23 home runs and had 20 doubles last year. Um, he's on our roster this year. So
Yeah.
like you go out and get a guy like that who pounds all over the place. We got a kid from From Lakeland, who, Lakeland had a really historic run last year at the JUCO level, and he was their leading hitter last year. He was their best
Yeah.
hitter. They finished fourth in the JUCO World Series.
Shouts to
Um,
Julio.
yeah, shout out to Julio. That's right. Um, so like I think it's, recruit, like I said, I think recruiting portal and JUCO stuff, like, one thing that I feel like Cope and I have always done since we've been together is we're always out recruiting. You'll always see us out on the road. So we do a really good job in that sense of trying to identify the best talent that we can, and the best ones that we're going to be able to get. So like our portal resume, I'd say it's a mixed bag. Some guys we bring in that maybe didn't have very many innings or very many at bats at a Power Four school, that you think, okay, if they come here and they get the opportunity, we know the talent is there, we know the arm is there, the bat's there. Maybe if we just give them the opportunity that they need, um, they'll take off. I think a big part of it too with recruiting, and not even just portal, but recruiting in general, is we all like to think we do a really good job recruiting, but at the end of the day, recruiting is lucky too. You have to get lucky on some kids. You're going to be
You
out
ain't
there, and
kidding.
you think you're going to get the best kid that you watch, and then you go out there and he gets here on campus and he's bad. You're like, oh, okay, I missed on that one, right? So you have to be lucky when you recruit. I think that's a big part of it. But also, you have to hedge your bets. You got to be able to put forth the effort into, turning over every stone that you can to learn about the kid. And sometimes, in today's day and age, it's calling high school coaches, it's calling the travel coach, obviously in the summer. It's talking to opposing high school coaches. There's a lot of guys that I know that are coaching high school baseball that I can call up, and hey, I know you're playing against so and so, let me know what you think, right? That happens a lot. Because obviously you're never going to call, very rarely, I should say, are you going to call the high school coach, or are you going to call the summer coach, and they're going to say, yeah, hey, he's not a good kid, you should probably stay away from him. You're never going to hear that. So, but you may hear it from, the other coach, the opposing coach. Hey, he talks a lot of shit. He's always running his mouth. It's a guy and that's the part you want
Come
to
on,
hear.
Joe. Who does that?
Well, I'm just saying, right? It's what you want to hear, because again, when you have 34 roster spots, and you start looking at this guy and this guy, and you're hearing bad news on this guy, I'm not going to waste my time. It starts to get a little crazy.
I throw that in. This is one of my favorite Joe Kelch stories of all time. We were in St. Louis, and Joe was on second base. We were playing the Gamers, and former St. Louis Cardinal Matt Whiteside was managing the Gamers. Joe was tipping pitches from second base like a good leadoff hitter. Chris Razzo, the Heartland skipper, was at bat, and Whiteside calls time, walks out to the mound, isn't even talking to his pitcher, looks at Joe and says, "You keep doing that, your guy's going to catch one in the ear." Joe leans around Whiteside and goes, "Hey, Raz, watch out for in your ear."
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I'm not denying that. I'll try to get every advantage I can get.
Nice. Nice. Oh, is it you or me, Bentley?
I think it's me. This is probably my toughest question, so feel free to take your time and think on this one. When you are recruiting a kid or kids, because it's kind of a subjective, I think each coach, if we polled 10 different coaches, we'd get 10 different answers. Let's say you got a kid, let's say he's a 2027, so he's a junior, and you just committed him. He's got 2 more full seasons in high school. Let's say this upcoming spring, he tears his UCL, Tommy John. So he's coming back around the time that he steps foot on NIU's campus, or maybe a little bit before. Is it just a case by case situation where one kid, you might say, you talk to Cope and you say, we're going to stick with him, follow his recovery. and maybe another kid, maybe you say, we got this transfer guy that's available. Do we let this kid go? How do you handle that? Because I think it's happening not a ton with the commitment, but it is happening a lot with kids, young kids. Can you just give me your perspective, your opinion on that recruiting a kid who's a Tommy John survivor, so to speak? I think you guys have one from Lakeland, a transfer, the Knapp kid.
Yep.
Go ahead, I'll let you just take the floor and run with it on this one because it's an
Real
open
quick before Joe jumps in, shout out to Will Knapp. That is a grade A kid that you got there. And
He's awesome. He's awesome.
just to fill people in, Will Knapp was not a pitcher coming out of high school. He was an outfielder and ran like 6'5". Bat maybe didn't play as well as it should have. Goes to Lakeland. They realize he's got a cannon from the outfield. They move him to the mound. He's 88 to 92 with some filthy breaking stuff. I was very fortunate to be a part of that process, and
Yeah, he's an awesome kid.
Will is just a great kid.
Yeah, he's awesome. To answer the question, I would say it's probably a little bit of a case by case basis. 5 years ago, I would tell you a little bit of the opposite. I would say we would be more likely to stick with the kid. In today's day and age of players being able to leave whenever they want, coaches really leaving the same way. I'll give you an example. We had a kid on our team at the end of the spring last year, before the season was over. We're doing PFP things, and he tears his ACL. And it would have been very easy for us to, at the end of the spring, hey man, your ACL is torn. You're going to be out all fall. Who knows what you're going to be like in the spring? We're gonna cut ties, right? And we did not do that. We with the kids on our roster. The same thing happened. That we have another example too of a guy who had a labrum tear, right? And labrum tears are not the easiest to come back from. And same thing, he's still on our roster for us this year. So I think we have a track record of sticking with kids that especially that are on the roster. If we had kid that's coming in that did the same thing, it's kind of more of a case by case. It'd be really hard for us to bring in somebody who's hurt, just in the sense of the fact that we're bringing somebody in with 34 guys on the roster that we can't afford to have somebody not do anything.
and you got to win now.
Yeah, and then in today's day and age of winning now, we don't have a choice. And I think again, it's not something that we feel good about. It's the nature of the business that we're in, of we have to win right now, and we can't win with guys that can't help us. It can't help us because they're hurt or whatever the case may be. And it's unfortunate. It really is. But that's what the 34 man has done to us. We barely have enough guys to be able to put two teams on the field to scrimmage in the fall with 34. You're talking 34 roster anyway. More often than not, with your 34, somebody's hurt or more than one guy is hurt throughout the fall anyway, where they can't play regardless. So now you're talking, you got a pitcher playing right field, or however you're structuring it to make sure that you can at least enter squad. So being able to bring somebody in that's hurt, that whatever the case may be, makes it tough. It does. And if it happened, like, if we had a 27 that committed yesterday that, tears his ACL tomorrow, it gives us a little bit, hey, he's not going to play, obviously, his junior season. We'll at least be able to see him throughout his summer or senior season the next year. And then, I think the communication part of that with us and with him would go a long way, so that we're all on the same page. So nobody's blindsided by anything that happens, but also sticking to our commitment with him as well.
Joe, you mentioned the roster size and making it hard to even scrimmage. What's the roster breakdown looking like? Like, would you say on average, how many position players versus how many pitchers, and is the two-way thing becoming more common?
The two-way thing, I think, is going to become more common if it hasn't already. To be able to do that is going to be extremely valuable with the roster size. I think right now we have 18 and 16 is what our breakdown is. 18 pitchers and 16 position guys. I think that's what our breakdown is. I think that's what we're kind of going to try to continue to be at as much as we can moving forward. Um, just because of the value the pitchers are going to bring. But we definitely we definitely are going to start valuing the two-way a little bit more. Being able to two-way obviously at this level is extremely difficult. Um, so I think a lot of guys think they're two ways in high school, and then they get here, and then usually by the end of the first month, their decision. It's funny because I've dealt with a few, and more often than not, they come into the office after a few weeks and they say, "Hey, I'm done doing this. I just want to
Yeah,
focus on this," and we don't have to make the decision for them, which is great. They usually figure it out on their own before that happens. But yeah,
agreed.
I think two ways are going to become a lot more valuable as it gets as the roster size is what it is.
Nice. Dave, you got anything else to throw in there, buddy?
I got one more. You and Copeland have worked together at multiple universities. You obviously get along, you have a rapport, but what are some things, or at least one thing, that you guys butt heads on or argue? And when the topic starts to arise, you already know what his position's going to be, and it's going to be opposite yours.
Um, well, I mean, Cope and I are I would say we're pretty good friends. So we don't disagree on a whole lot. I mean, we're both Bears fans. We're both Hawks fans. He's a White Sox fan. I don't hold that against him though. Um, but
You still being a North Carolina fan?
I am a Carolina fan. They got a
Oh
big game
God,
tomorrow. Oh yeah.
I was hoping you grew out of that.
No, Carolina basketball. Yep, tomorrow. St. Bonaventure, 5 o'clock.
Of course.
Uh, so yeah, I would say there's not a whole lot we disagree on. I mean, obviously him being a pitcher and me being an offensive minded guy, there are times where he's going to have his pitcher perspective on things, and I'm going to have my hitter perspective on things. And sometimes those differ. Um, but I would say the one thing that we were obviously at Illinois Springfield, um, we were a lot more talented than a lot of other teams in our league, and um, we didn't have to do a lot of the small things. We didn't care if a pitcher was 1-6 to the plate because he was going to strike him out more often than not anyway. We didn't care if we weren't the best defensive team at fielding bunts, or we weren't the best defensive team at holding runners on second, because we knew we were probably going to get out of it anyway, or we were going to score more runs than the other team where it was going to anyway. So it didn't matter. I would say now at this level, all the little things start to matter a little bit more. So we have definitely made a conscious effort into making those little things matter a little bit more. Bunt defense, PFPs, middle infielders holding runners a little better. Those types of things that we've spent a little bit more time on here at Northern than what we did at UIS, and I think that just comes with the talent level being much better here at the Division I level, and the talent level, kind of being pretty much very very similar across our conference for the most part.
When you're recruiting a pitcher and you guys are both sort of on the fence, are you going to defer to him to have, 51% of the vote? And will he defer to you on a hitter for 51% of the vote?
Yeah, anytime we're recruiting a pitcher, if I see a guy that I'm out recruiting, I know a lot of the obvious things, but him and our pitching coach, Calvin Peacock, those two guys are going to make I would say the overall eventual decision on the pitcher. They can see a little bit more of the pitcherish things that I can't. So I usually defer to them to make those pitcher decisions. And then offensively, yeah, usually, Cope lets me handle pretty much all of the offensive stuff in terms of recruiting. So, um, yeah, I think we usually defer to each other on our positional specialties.
Makes sense to me.
Nice. All right, last question, big guy. If you could give a recruit one piece of advice to guarantee they stand out, what would you tell them to do?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um, are we talking like playing? Are we talking, um,
Any
you know,
facet? What's something a kid that does that just wows you? Can be via communication, can be on the field, can be interactions with teammates,
yeah,
parents, whatever.
yeah. I think more so than anything, if we're talking kind of just, hey, the talent's there, I think the one piece of advice is be a good teammate. That's the one thing I think that we at our level here this last couple of years, being a good teammate has goes so far amongst in your inside of your team. Just the camaraderie that you build. If you're a good teammate, those guys will stick up for you. We have meetings with our guys, individual meetings, 2 or 3 times a year, at least. And we sit down and we ask them questions, and to hear them talk about certain teammates and things like that on how good of a teammate they are is something that I think goes a long way, not only with us but with them as well, because they show that when they're not on the field, when they're hanging out at each other's houses, tailgating before the football game, things like that, they're all going to stick by. I'd say be a good teammate is probably number one for me. Um, that can stand out, just as simple as that your middle infielder that you're playing with is the last guy on the field because he made the last out, and that you're bringing him his glove in between innings, and that the coach isn't yelling for you to grab it. Something like that I think I pay attention to when I'm out watching games. Um, but I think that's a good one. I would say the obvious one is get bigger, get faster, and get stronger. I think a lot of high school kids, they don't have a real weight room program, and that's the obvious answer. Um, but yeah, I'd say to stand out, I want if we are on the fence with somebody or we are actively recruiting somebody, and we see them do the above and beyond things like that, that's going to help you stand out even more.
Nice.
I got one more question from a listener, Dave Hoffman from Morton, Illinois. When do kids need to be active in social media and reaching out to coaches? Freshman year, sophomore year in high school? I think I know the answer, but go ahead.
Well, for us at the Division I level, we can't even speak to you as a potential student athlete until August 1st of your junior year. So no, yeah, yeah, August 1st of your
Yeah,
junior
you're
year.
right.
We get emails and things like that from guys that are younger than that we can't even reply to. So I would say the answer to your question is, to get on social media and things like that as a freshman, they may get you on a few radars to start. You're going to end up getting maybe getting some camp invites. But other than that, we literally cannot speak to you until that. So typically what we do is, we'll go out and we'll recruit in the summer. We'll have probably a handful of guys that we'll still need to go see that are going to be seniors, and then we'll start on that going to be junior class right before the future games start. Um, and really that's when we're going to really kind of start it in that type of sense. So we'll see social media. I would say your sophomore year maybe you can start getting into some social media stuff just to be on a radar. um, but then after, yeah, we can't talk to you until your junior year of August 1st of your junior year.
So,
I
Joe,
think
let's do this. Like, if your kid's is like, let's say a kid's a 2028 right now, how does he how does he communicate? Like, hey, I know you can't reply to this, but here's where I'm going to be. Here's my high school schedule, or here's my summer schedule. Like, what is the best way for him to, one, express interest in NIU, and two, make sure that you have a chance to see him.
Well, the best way I would say just to get the communication across is probably on a DM on Twitter. I know I can't reply. Um, if somebody follows me, I mean, more often than not, I'll follow them back if they're any baseball related or a young kid that something like that that I feel like has a chance. They'll have a follow back for sure, and then they can DM me all that stuff. The best way, especially the younger guys, to get on the radar is to come to the camp. If we see you at our camp as a 2028 right now, you're going to be on the radar. You'll be circled. We'll be able to talk to you at camp and tell you kind of all the ins and outs of what to expect. Hey, we're really interested. We want to see your progress throughout. We'll make sure we see you in the summer so that way when August 1st comes, we can talk. We'll be able to do that type of thing is coming to the camp. The emails and stuff are fine too. I think sometimes the emails they get a little bit watered down. The amount of emails we get on a daily basis of a lot of kids looking to get recruited, it's
How
a
many
lot.
did you get a day, just out of curiosity?
Ooh,
50?
yeah. Well, I mean, I can check my email real quick. Uh, I think right now, yeah, I
That
have.
one I sent to you about my 10-year-old, just disregard that for a few years. Sorry about that.
He
I
is only
have.
15 minutes from campus, though. All right, so keep that in
That's right.
mind.
That's
We can
right.
be at camp in 9 minutes speeding.
Yeah, he's going to live
There
at
you go.
home. All right, it's going to be a real financially beneficial relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I have 70 emails right now in my from the last 2 days, and obviously those were weekends, so typically it's a little busier out during the week. So yeah, I think the emails get a little watered down, and it's especially during the spring when we're on the road, it's a little bit harder to go through all of them and really pay attention to a lot of them with all the stuff we have going on. Especially like for us, we don't have 6 graduate assistants and two um, you know uh, director of operations where we can just show up. We're doing all the other stuff, putting together reports and going over all the videos and doing all that stuff.
Doing the
Um,
laundry.
yeah, yeah. So we to see everybody's email sometimes can it gets overlooked. So DM coming to camp so we can actually see you at camp is probably the best way if you're younger or we can't talk to you.
Joe, for the 2027s who can talk to you now, is late October, November during the quiet period, is that a good time to chuck an email your way, even though you just told us 70 and 48 hours? Because I would think in the spring it would be almost like a junk mail because
Yeah.
you're so busy.
Yeah,
Is that
the spring is definitely the worst time. Now would be the best to be able to do that, just so that we can, it's easier for me to sit down and evaluate. I have a lot more time to do that now, um, to go through the emails and reply and things like that. So yeah, now would be the best time. October, November, December. During those time frames when we don't have an actual shutdown because those are new. Last year we actually have shutdowns where we can't even reply to you. If
Yeah,
you sent me a text and said "Happy Thanksgiving, Coach," I can't even reply to
I
you, and that's
know.
that's
It's
crazy to
weird.
me.
That's weird.
But yeah, so yeah, but yeah, that goes back to one of the other questions about the misunderstanding. Like sometimes we don't reply, and it's not even our fault. Like our hands are tied, and we actually cannot reply.
Very nice. Well, Joseph, I appreciate the heck out of you joining us, man.
Yeah, appreciate you invited me. I had a blast and love to do it again whenever.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're gonna. We talked about taking the show on the road last summer, but I think this next summer, Bentley and I are going to do an episode from Grand Park during the
There you go.
MPL,
We'll be there.
and we'll just pull all you guys in as you huddle around the backstop and
Yeah.
see
We'll
what.
get a little hot stove going on.
Yeah, yeah. See what's what.
That's right.
So,
Yeah,
well,
Diggle
folks.
wasn't joking. I am like 12 minutes from DeKalb. So I took my son to one game last year. If I catch you out of the dugout, I'll try to say hello
Yeah, please
come
do.
springtime.
Please do. Diggle, I don't know if I showed you the tree in the background though. Just
Oh,
for
you
your,
did.
just
You
for your
did. If you haven't followed Joe on Twitter, feel free to follow Joe on Twitter. What's the handle, buddy?
J Kelch NIU.
Yeah, at J Kelch NIU. He is the human advent calendar, as
If you
Bentley
like
has.
Christmas, yeah, you'll like the feed because that's pretty
Yes.
much all it is.
Yes,
From November on.
he will up your gift giving anxiety as you creep closer and closer to the 25th and still don't have that perfect gift for your loved ones. So
That's right.
thanks a lot, buddy.
Best time of the year.
That it is. That it is. All right. Well, folks, we thank you for joining us. No episode next week. We will be taking the weekend off to spend time with family and friends and enjoy some turkey. And we'll be back in early December with hopefully with a banger of an episode leading into the IHSBCA convention, and then maybe a little surprise coming out of the IHSBCA convention. So we'll see what happens. But
Thanks for joining us, Coach.
Yep. Thanks. Appreciate you guys.
don't leave yet, Joseph.